All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Terence Crawford and Jaron Ennis and how recent movements in the rankings and of a certain other champion are going to force Terence Crawford to fight Jaron Ennis or be severely diminished in the sport of boxing. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147 pound division, talking about the top boxers in the division and what, now that certain things have happened and announced, will most definitely be the case in the upcoming year. Some of y'all are not going to like it. Some of you guys are going to keep using that same old dumb talking point that I don't know who invented and got y'all to using, called "you're obsessed." Well, maybe I'm obsessed, so what? Doesn't mean that what I'm saying is not true. And on top of it, we talk about boxing every day, and you watch and you comment on all the videos, so maybe you're just a little bit obsessed yourself. So what are we obsessed about? The welterweight division, and which is the most talent-heavy division in boxing, with maybe the exception of lightweight. But other than that, the most talent-rich at the top at this current moment is 147 pounds, in my opinion. And some things have now taken place after some fights that took place in January that have changed that have really changed the landscape a little bit. However, not in a way that a lot of people think. And I'm going to share my thoughts with you on that. Before I do, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button. We have really good boxing conversations here pretty much on a regular basis. Also, well, not pretty much on a regular basis. We do it every day, several videos a day. Also, we do live streams in the morning, so there's always a good boxing conversation to be had. So subscribe to the channel, join the family. If you already part of our boxing community that we have here, like my guy John Bowie, Mike Kirkland, Lone Star Steph, one of the great channels out there over there on Twitter. Stay loyal to the soil, who also has a channel called Chicken Talk on YouTube. One of the best sources for boxing information, comes here on a regular basis. So definitely join the family and hit that subscribe button. Also, thank you to everybody that supports in the super chats and the cash apps of the supports in the cash app, which you can see below, and also the heart and the dollar sign, which is super thanks, where you can support this particular content in this video. And when you see that on other people's pages, support them, because, you know, content providers, whether or not you like them or you don't like them, call them this name or call them that name, really are giving you content that you do like to, whether you like it in the way that it irritates you or you like it in the way that you agree, you still consume it, and it is a valuable part of the boxing community. So go support somebody. Anyway, let's get on with this. So, got some notes sent to me about a fact that something took place in the boxing rankings, which was that Jaron Boots Ennis, who is one of the top welterweights. I think he's the number 3 welterweight. I think he's the top welterweight that does not have a belt. Undefeated fighter out of Philadelphia. Just fought on Gervonta Davis's undercard. He went the distance with this guy named Kareem. Last name I'm not gonna try to pronounce. A lot of people complained about his performance, but in reality, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. He won every single solitary round, 12-0. The only issue that anybody could possibly have with him is he didn't knock the guy out. But if you're familiar with boxing and that you've been a fan for a number of years, that literally happens to everybody. At some point in time, a guy that will knock out most people is going to go the distance, whether it is Deontay Wilder going the distance with Bermane Stiverne the first time, or Deontay Wilder going the distance with Tyson Fury the first time, or whether it is who have Gervonta Davis, going the distance with Isaac Cruz. It's going to happen, right? So, but anyway, as a result of that fight, beating Isaac Cruz, he is no longer in the rankings of the other sanctioning bodies. Now, when some people explain this stuff out there, it's like sometimes people forget to like what the rules are in boxing. First of all, why did Jaron Ennis get dropped from the rankings of the WBO, the WBC, and the WBA? I told you in videos a while ago that was going to happen. And that is because he's now a champion within the IBF. He is now the IBF interim champion. So just like you do not see Terence Crawford in the rankings of the WBC, the WBA, or the IBF because he is the champion, and just as you don't see Gervonta Davis in the rankings of the IBF, the WBC, or the WBO because he is a champion, right? Now, well, he's not a champion. He's a secondary belt. I don't care. Neither do they. They're saying that if you're a champion, you cannot be in the rankings of other sanctioning bodies. And there's a logical reason for that. Something that we should always rely on, our logic. Why would that be? Because you are a champion and hold a title for somebody else, another body, sanctioning body, cannot order you to fight somebody and to defend the IBF belt. If Jaron Ennis was still in the WBO rankings, that would mean that the WBO would be able to order him to defend his IBF title against a person that they name. Now, the only scenario in which you have where that isn't the case is if you're the champion and a champion voluntarily fights another champion, at which point in time that person will become that major champion. So if Terence Crawford, who has the WBO, decided to take Jaron Ennis as a voluntary, right? And then Jaron Ennis then beats Terence Crawford. I do believe with the IBF belt, the IBF interim title, that's just going to he's just going to vacate that in order to fight for that, more than likely. But you just see that's why Jaron Ennis dropped down in the rankings. It's not anything to do with whether or not somebody's trying to duck somebody or anything like that. It's just the fact that since he's the IBF champion, and people knew this ahead of time, the first person to tell me to enlighten me on that was Jake Donovan from Boxing Scene, who said that on Twitter, that he's going to leave the rankings, all these other guys' rankings, as soon as he fights Kareem, because he'll be a champion, so he drops out of those rankings. But so what does this mean practically? What does it mean practically? Practically, along with this fact that Errol Spence Jr. is more than likely going to 154 pounds. With Errol Spence Jr. going to 154 pounds, in the very next fight, if Errol Spence Jr. stays at 154 pounds and the only way I believe that he is going to stay at 100, that he's going to come back to 147 pounds, is if they make a fight with Terence Crawford. And I mean, they make a fight with Terence Crawford within a day or two of them having a conversation. That might be a slight exaggeration in either direction, right? It could be that they're going to say, let's sit down in an office. We're going to talk about it. If you come and if you delay it, I'm out of here. We got to go do something else because people are sick of dealing with it. Or they may go 2 weeks, something like that. But whatever the case is, I'm pretty confident that the only way Errol's going to come back to 147 is if he is fighting Terence Crawford next. So if Terence Crawford does not fight Errol Spence Jr., then Jaron Ennis is going to become the IBF champion. He's either going to get elevated to the IBF championship, or they're going to have another fight where maybe the number one contender, the number two contender in him would fight. I have a suspicion that they might just elevate the guy to champion status because he already won the interim title. And sometimes they do, when it vacates, they'll elevate an interim title versus interim titleist versus making an interim titleist once again fight for the championship. No, he wouldn't be fighting for the position of the championship. So anyway it goes, Jaron Ennis is more than likely will fight for the IBF championship next, and in short order, because because he just fought in January. So in the May time frame or shortly thereafter, his very next fight more than likely would be for the IBF championship, which would put him in the position of Terence Crawford having to fight him. And the reason why I say Terence Crawford have to fight him is because once he's an IBF champion and he is a champion in that division, if Terence Crawford does not fight Terence Crawford does not fight Jaron Ennis, or at the very least fight the other guys that will get one of Errol Spence Jr.'s belts, like maybe Virgil Ortiz. Well, the Virgil Ortiz standing on this winner. I'm not sure who would be in the who would do that in the WBC. Then Terence Crawford once again is going to be in a situation where it's like, okay, this guy really just does want to fight leftovers, older fighters, and guys that have no chance of beating him whatsoever. And also, even if he fights, say, a WBC guy that is not a good fighter and he picks that guy instead of Jaron Ennis, or if he picks Stanionis instead of Jaron Ennis, it's going to be the same thing. A lot of backlash on him. And no matter how many of you guys want to sit out there and come to comment sections protecting him, look, people ain't buying what you have to say. I promise you. And you know it, and I know it. That's why you got to keep coming up with this conversation about people being obsessed with things. Man, we're boxing fans and hardcore boxing fans, and that's what we talk about. And that is a big subject. Don't think you could just pull. You're just not going to stick it in a cupboard and have people forget about it. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.